is, oh, then it'll be martial law. It'll be martial law and Obama, and we'll have to do a third term. I'm just saying that's the stupid part of it. But
I've heard that too. It's the dumbest.
It's dumb. But I certainly believe that there are organizations who are going to create chaos at the conventions. That makes nothing but sense. Since they're not for Trump or
there is a meme in the progressive left, because I had my version of the Obama bot dinner.
Oh, are you ready to do that now?
I don't know. I mean, I just
hold on.
Now let's finish this, but I'm going to say that there is a thought that is very prominent that Trump is going to be derailed at this event, at the convention, and they believe it so much that they put money on it. And so we'll continue that conversation later in the show. But this makes nothing but sense to me, and I can see this sort of thing getting into the collective unconscious of these people, and so that's why. Yeah, we got to get rid of Trump. We got to do something about that. And I've got a clip here that kind of adds to this thesis, but continue so you can wrap it so I can play the clip.
Okay, well, so then I'm just going to wrap up what? This the Summer
of Chaos, which is aimed at Trump, derailing Trump.
It's aimed at Trump, but also at Hillary.
Yeah, they don't want her, but if the Republicans can get somebody in
who they like or for everything points to this, maybe not Dallas specifically, as in the people who are sending these text messages and busing in thousands of people. They may not be directly responsible for what happened, but it could be a part of it. You have, of course, here's a couple of things. We know nothing about Micah Xavier Johnson, or very, very little.
I have one back.
Law enforcement has not once, since we may have more shooters, we don't know what's going on. Not once have I heard them say, if you see something, say something. If you have information, come forward. Someone may have seen every other event. They're always saying that. Why not now?
You're playing the ABC Johnson background. This is all A1 collected. This is done by Pierre, the black investigator at ABC.
Johnson's Facebook page reveals some of that rage against police. He liked the page that said, kill everything blue that moves. Police.
Now, how did he get a hold of the Facebook page? How did he get a hold of it? This is my point.
Kill everything blue that moves. Police say Johnson embraced a radical form of Afrocentric. And law enforcement sources tell ABC News he was armed for his shooting spree with an assault rifle and 2 handguns. Johnson served in the Army Reserve from 2009 to 2015, doing a tour in Afghanistan. Today, when police searched Johnson's home in Mesquite, Texas, they say they found bomb-making materials, bullet vests, rifles, and a personal journal for combat tactics.
This guy stood around the corner from me and was willing to take people's lives that he didn't even know. It's scary.
But Johnson's sister took to Facebook today to defend her brother, writing, "The news will say what they think, but those who knew him know this wasn't like him."
I always find it fun.
I was going to say, the one thing that's always annoying is they find some black woman who comes and says, he shoot people, who doesn't even know, as it was okay to shoot people they did know. and she was just one of these dummies off the street. They put her in there for playing the role of dumb little Texan.
It's very possible that there are people who are definitely making trouble and doing it on purpose. And when you have a military guy who goes, I guess the military version of Postal for those days, you really have to think about this. And there's also insinuation that that's a crazy. They shouldn't have you were Loretta Lynch. But we're not, what was the exact quote? It was, we must take a hard look at the ease with which wrongdoers get their hands on deadly weapons. And from everything I've heard from our resident experts, it's a sharpshooter, a modified sharpshooter Russian SKS.
You can get silencers for these weapons.
For those rifles?
Yeah. And there's a number of places you can get them. And it seems to me, I'm not encouraging this idea, obviously, I don't want to, but why would you bring such a loud muzzle sounding weapon and shoot it in between all the buildings of Dallas. If you had a silencer, you could actually accomplish something if you want to, what you claim to want to do. I think there's something, this whole thing stinks.
It stinks a lot. It stinks a
It
lot.
stinks. The dead guy getting blown to smithereens stinks. The robot stinks. What he said, which we have no evidence that he said this at all, stinks.
It does. Now, so the implication to the public is Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. That is the implication that's given. And it's not a...
Got that.
Okay. There's a lot going on the networks about just this. Let's start with Richmond.
All I hear in the West Coast, what I heard out here, don't forget where I am.
Yeah.
All I heard was a peaceful. And that was the word associated with Black Lives Matter, was peaceful.
The demonstration was peaceful, but the implication with this guy's Facebook page all of a sudden being available to the media is Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. That's all I heard. Of course, I stay up late. And I see Don Lemon, who keeps coming on there, so I am talking to you as a black man. Thanks for the
I'm
memo.
getting tired of Don Lemon.
Thanks for the memo, Don. I'm speaking to you as a black man.
Don Lemon is wearing a little too much glittery makeup. He had this glittery makeup on. He was a good face. Like he's just come back from a parade. You just gotta back off.
Here's Democratic Congressman from Louisiana, Richmond. And this is an interesting statement.
Today I stand here speaking.
And he is a black American.
Today I stand here speaking, and I would have to say today is probably the angriest I've ever been while addressing the public and the media. And I share the anger of our young kids. When we look at this Congress, we can do nothing but conclude that they are co-conspirators in the devaluation of the lives of men and women of color, and that the systematic devaluation from mass incarceration to the lack of investment in communities show that we have little faith or concern about their future.
And coming from someone who's a member of the Democratic Party, he's absolutely right. This is not necessarily racial hate. This is a community that mainly for Democratic policies. Just look at Dallas. Look at a lot of the problems we have with our inner cities, and it's because of the policies. So he's absolutely right to call Congress co-conspirators. But it's not just black, it's Mexican, it's Chinese, Asian, whatever it is. It's any color other than white. The statistics show it's a little different, but these poor people who are being lied about the job market and lied to about the economy, there's nothing to do. They have no future, and that is
They
definitely
were also lied about. The big lie, which has caused a lot of these problems that Obama's inherited and has done nothing about, was the real estate market. The entire thing was a giant scam, and it was mostly aimed at poor people that couldn't really afford to take these loans out, and they were lied about. And I always felt bad about that. People say, well, they took out this stupid loan, and so now they're bitching about it, and they want to get bailed out. And of course, they did bail out the banks who gave the stupid loans, but that's another story. And it was a scam. It was a scam from the get-go.
this whole.
And it was aimed at poor people of all sorts. White, black, doesn't make any difference.
I was trying to think, when not all of this, of course, started Obama became president, but I believe that this started with the professor who was training Professor Hayes, who he was trying to get into his house and he was mistaken for a burglar, and the cops arrested him. And what happened is, the president said, this is crazy, what's going on? This is an upstanding citizen, it's just because of the color of his skin. Then the law enforcement officer had to have a beer with Joe Biden in the Rose Garden. Remember that?
Of course I remember.
A lot of this,
Beer especially.
yeah, a lot of this started there, I believe. So now we have a familiar name, Cheryl Eiffel. And you'll recognize that name, of course, because she's the cousin of Glenn Eiffel, Asia for President Obama. She is with the NAACP, and here she is speaking with Brian Williams about Black Lives Matters and what they are and what they aren't.
But also because they stand to potentially hijack the conversation that we need to be having about how to do precisely what Chief of Police Dallas Chief of Police David Brown told us we have to do. He said we must stop this divisiveness between police and the communities they serve. That's what the Black Lives Matter protests have been about. That's what the policing protests have been about. They have never been anti-police. They have been about ensuring that the lives of black people are protected and that there's proper policing in our communities.
Now, that's just not true. If you look at Reverend Jeff Wood, who was the organizer, now this was the crazy guy with the scraggly kind of beard and the glasses. Did you see this guy anywhere? Jeff Wood? Reverend Jeff Wood? RevJeffWood.com? Yeah. No, he is the organizer. Very odd guy, Baptist pastor, and he is a member of, or he receives funding from FOR, which is the Fellowship of Reconciliation, pretty big group. Not a lot of people, $2 million a year maybe, but certainly enough to start organizing things. But if you look at his, if you look at what he was saying about this particular protest, it was very much against the police. You can just look at the invitation on Facebook, but it was very much about anti-police, in this case police brutality, but it was very focused on what this was supposed to be about. Now, Angela Rye, I guess she's a CNN political commentator, and she used to be a congressional aide to the Congressional Black Caucus. She was on CNN, this may be with Don Lemon, and she said something that, well, I think rightly set some people off.
So we're talking about an entity that is supposedly anti-police. I hope it's not Black Lives Matter, because this is what Black Lives Matter said. They said black activists have raised the call for an end to violence, not an escalation of it. Yesterday's attack was the result of the actions of a lone gunman. To assign the actions of one person to an entire movement is dangerous and irresponsible. And to that end, I stand with them in solidarity.
See the way the Black Lives Matter protests?
So what I